This podcast brought to you by Digital Diamond Entertainment.
Yeah, Vex, run the intro.
So when am I getting paid for this?
Kind of like a podcast, sort of, but not really. We're podcast-ish.
What's this ish? What do you mean ish?
Some material may be inappropriate for children under 13.
What the fuck is going on? Welcome back to the podcast. This podcast, every week we give you the facts, fiction, and twisted opinions on aspects of human behavior. We believe words are important and the facts don't give a fuck about your feelings. So sit back and strap in because this week, the sect goes in on reverse racism.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Intros. Kobo.
Uh-huh.
To my left.
My name is John Vex, otherwise known as the Girl Dem Sugar, the Caramel Experience, Mr. Pumpa Par Pum Pum.
Pum. She want me around the top room.
Exactly. And opposite the table from me is...
My name is Will Hayes, a.k.a. Hayes Will.
Wow.
Shut up.
You like that superhero fella from, what's the name of that? Mystery Men, who says all the sayings forward and then in reverse.
Was that his, like, his...
The Sphinx, I think that's his name.
The Sphinx. Was that his thing? Like, that was his
Yeah, he had all these, like, gems of knowledge to drop. But shit like, if you fail to prepare to fail.
And that was his power?
That was his power.
Just dropping gems?
Just dropping science. And who is you?
Are you done? That's it? That's all you got?
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna lower the AKAs on this one because it's like blurred lines, fam.
Okay.
Blurred lines.
You're going to load it for next one.
No. Like, I think it's blurred line between the podcasts.
Oh.
Like, they start out exactly the same. So
I was
like
trying to say
blurred
that earlier.
lines.
Now I'm glad we... Okay, that's cool. That's what we're doing now? Okay. I'm Pernell Ramlo, a.k.a. Don't Call Me Podcast P because you can't typecast me, a.k.a. Potty Mouth P, a.k.a. Johnny Adlibs, a.k.a. Stank Mouth, a.k.a. Yuck, a.k.a. Don't Leave Your Girl Around Me, a.k.a. Everyone is entitled to my damn opinion, a.k.a. The Unruly Cooler. Coolie! Thanks for coughing your way through my intro.
Hold on, you're not done. Yo, something just caught me in my upper throat. Pause. Like,
Yeah, pause all the way through that. Y'all got some shout outs or what?
yeah.
Will Hayes, I got a whole bunch, so go ahead, Will.
Shout out to these idiots on my fucking Facebook, B. My Facebook.
You want to be more specific?
People are stupid.
Yeah.
So I reposted last week's addiction, right? And one of the addiction promos has an article about some gentleman wrote about how addiction is not a disease. It's his opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think even if you read the article, he doesn't. In the article, it doesn't even say addiction is not a disease.
Mm-hmm.
He like says there's just like we said it brings upon disease like things for you, but all that extra shit, whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I have people that admittedly did not read the article.
Oh, 100%.
And said, and their main thing, that's fucked up, that's stupid. Anybody who says anything like this is uneducated and da-da-da-da.
Right.
And the next comment is, I didn't even read the article. I didn't need to go through to make sure they're uneducated. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you got an educated opinion, you got an educated decision on someone's opinion without...
Actually educating yourself on the opinion.
You know what I got?
Yeah.
I got a bunch of that too. I got a bunch
Stupid people.
I got a bunch of that. This is stupid. Same thing. If you're not educated, if you believe this, and then it's like, oh, we heard the podcast. Good job. Like we said the exact same thing,
Right?
Except we only went into our personal thing. I think it was because we went into our own personal experiences, and being through that, I think we had a chance to show people that we're not. We are human, first of all, and that we have these experiences are personal to us, and this is why we decided to think like this, I guess, right?
Man, fuck all those self-righteous ex-addicts. They could all eat a fucking dick. I hope they actually relapse horribly.
No, you don't wish that on nobody.
Nah, dead ass.
No, you don't wish that on nobody. Come on now.
Dead ass. If you an ex-addict and you feel like your addiction is greater than another person's addiction and anybody else with addiction that wasn't your addiction has no valid point on how they feel about addiction, you can eat a sack of baby dicks and choke.
And like I said, that's why I put that. Wow. That's why I put that intro in. Is that like we weren't trying to make it a podcast on whether it was a choice or whether it was a disease. I think we just wanted to, let it be known that however you can get over your addiction, get over that shit. I think that's one of the main things about it, right? And people just don't want to. People just don't have time for it. Apparently,
whether it's a choice or it's a disease, it's a fucked up situation that you're in that you should not. You should get out.
Get yourself out.
But I don't know. Let's all fucking fight on Facebook and call people stupid because they don't share your opinion on it.
And you know what's weird is that the promo for it, that one article you posted, that article that we originally posted on the Ish podcast Facebook page, it got over 300 shares.
Yeah, that's the one that got
and had over 2,000 comments. Like it got retarded.
And I posted that when I was pooping, and that was before we even knew that we were gonna do addictions. Remember?
No, I knew I was. No, I sent that one to I sent that one to Katie or to Caitlin. Sorry, to Jaggy to do the promo for it. And she sent it out on our page, and then I think you shared it off mine, and then yours just got blown the fuck up.
I shared it raw.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Because
Whatever
I was I can't remember whatever, but I was scrolling through and I saw it. And
I just know I had the metrics for it for all the promo, and I was like, whoa. Like, it blew the hell up. And that episode, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for all the comments, all the well wishers this week. And do you have any shout outs, couple? Before
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I have a couple shout outs.
Go ahead.
Mike Pence.
Really, Doug?
And Christine Blasey Ford.
Okay.
Who you might know from such things as lying to the Senate. Anyway.
Was she the one? Listen, was she the one that came out and said she lied? Or she fabricated?
No.
Who was it?
It was three of the other ladies that had come out saying that something had happened to them from Mr. Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Have since recanted their statement.
So all y'all,
one of them was actually 20 years older than him and came out and admitted to doing it simply because she was angry.
Right. Yeah, so fuck all y'all from when we went into it on the fucking Smoke podcast. And y'all were coming at me on Facebook, and where the fuck y'all were coming at me, man? Fuck y'all. You knew I was right.
Yeah, but not only that. Here's the messed up thing about Christine Blasey Ford, right? And I think the best way that I can sum up everything with this woman is with numbers. The first number being $1 million, which represents the amount of money she made from succouring people. Right? This woman made $1 million on her GoFundMe page, right? And has absconded with the cash.
Gone.
Right?
I love
If
that
she
word.
truly believed,
She dipped. Yeah.
yeah, if she truly believed that that she was wronged somehow, why did she just take the money and run? Right?
Well,
She's not pursuing any type of legal case.
Right.
Right? I'll give you another number representing this woman. 7. 7 represents the amount of book deals she's gotten
ridiculous
because of this nonsense.
And I wonder what the signing bonus of the
Exactly.
publishing bonuses were, right?
There's
He's on a rampage today, hey?
There's for sure. There's another female that came out and recanted and said that she just took because it was one of the females that, so there's like an anonymous accuser, and then some female came back and said, "Oh, that's me, and that's the one I talked about the other day." She's the one who's like, "No, that wasn't me. I was just saying it because I didn't want him to be judged."
You see?
But at least, like, I had to look at it like, "Oh, this bitch is on like this song's Petty LaBelle." Right? Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. It's like, no, I just didn't want him to be judged, Your Honor. I didn't take any money. I didn't want no fame. I just don't like him.
Go to jail, bitch.
Right? Exactly,
That's
right?
it.
So
That's it.
hashtag believe all women.
Yeah. True.
Go back 2 weeks and listen to that damn episode.
True.
Anyway.
Anyways, go ahead.
But no, I gotta I have a segue, but I think you introducing.
Can I get some shout outs out first?
Oh, I thought you did. Yeah.
No, I haven't done any shout outs.
Yeah, go ahead.
You okay? Okay. So I got a bunch of shout outs this week. Don't look at me like that. The guy was asking the question. Seriously.
You're not here. I'm looking.
Okay.
Nigga,
Shout outs.
get all
to
these
listen.
shout-outs.
No, he felt the tone of
I want
voice.
to I want to say thank you to everybody that reached out to me personally, because you guys heard my story, and it was kind of strange to do. That's the first time publicly taking that public.
And
So
that's
thank
awesome,
you.
by the way. Like, enough respect. Pete.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never one to shy away from that topic one on one, but it's been the first time I put it out there. So I want to thank everybody that came to me and messaged me, called me, messaged me everywhere, and just kind of sent their love, and was very happy. I did what I did.
And you know what? Enough respect to you too, Will.
Yeah, I mean,
What I do?
none.
No, man, you were very open with your addictions, your past addictions, right? So it takes a lot of strength to do that.
Right. I want to thank a few people here. This is off that topic now. Karthik for being the one guy that questions everything we say and do. And fuck you, we're not an echo chamber. Still my boy though. My boy Daniel Dorr for reaching out. Thank you for that. I want to thank Chris LaBelle because he's kind of gone through the same kind of struggles I have. he hasn't reached out per se, but him and I have talked here and there, and he's going to be coming on to not this podcast, one of our other podcasts. So thank you to you. Big shout out to Jaggy, Caitlin Doherty. Shout out to Kay Layton because he is going to be coming on the Smoke podcast with us in a few weeks or next week. I can't remember the exact day, but we will get that out. My boy Penley, Jason Penley.
Big up, Jason.
Yeah, my boy Chris Spear for reaching out. Appreciate you. Jesse Howe for being a conspiracy theorist who was actually going to come on a podcast with us one time.
Big up, Jesse.
And Jonathan Stewart for being the dude who's been our number one supporter since day one. Dude, you are my mans. I appreciate you. Give him a gunshot. You got Can you give Jonathan Stewart a gunshot? Appreciate you. And I want to send a shout out to Megan Elms. This girl, it's been crazy. I'm back boxing now in a gym, and every time I look at, like, she's been one of my friends forever, and she's when I first met her, she was a bartender, and she got into CrossFit with me. And she's just been killing it. She was a row instructor, and now she's at a place called Cult Athletics, I think, and it's downtown. But every time I see her, she's motivating me to get back to the gym. So I thank you for that, Megan. You're awesome. You're a wonderful person. Get at me. I need you on the podcast.
So with CrossFit, do you have to be angry to be doing it?
Because you're cross?
Cross, angry, miserable.
You're ridiculous sometimes. And with that...
Yo, if that was the case, I'd create a workout machine called the Vex Flex.
Yo! TM. Be good?
My face all over it.
Like, everybody want to punch that thing. Make it a punching bag.
Looking like the...
Nobody would sit on it.
Light skin ice... What? And I'm out this motherfucker.
We got sleepers? All right, y'all ready to get into this or what?
Yeah.
Like a
Freddy,
segue,
man.
right?
Ready like Freddy.
Yeah, no, I don't have a segue. I have... I think you introducing what we're talking about would be a better start.
A better segue.
So as you heard in the intro, we want to talk about reverse racism, a term that does not or something that doesn't exist. Racism is racism. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's how I feel about it. So I'm going to get that out of the way right now.
Oh, I agree.
And our listeners, actually, we have very intelligent listeners, because I thought it would take a little while before they caught on to what I was trying to do. I wasn't really trying to trick people, but I just posted this one thing about reverse racism, and right away people were right onto it, saying, racism is racism. That's it. There's no reverse racism. You can't just add fucking language or you can't add words to the English language and expect a term to come out of it. It doesn't work that way.
Big up Chris Rose, by the way.
Yeah.
Right, Chris Rose. I saw him post that comment on the
Rosie.
survey. Yeah, man. One of the wickedest dancehall artists in the city.
Different Rose.
Different Rose, eh?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
All right. Well, big up Chris Rose anyway.
So let me tell you why the term reverse racism exists, and let me tell you why it was wrong in that context. Let me tell you why everybody who uses reverse racism now is wrong. So
is this your theory or opinion? Or is this fact?
This is fact.
Okay.
So first of all, my theory or my opinion that everybody uses reverse racism now now people just say, oh, if someone who's not white is being racist towards white, it's reverse racism.
Right.
And that's wrong on two levels. A, it's not reverse racism because reverse racism, blah, blah, blah. B, it's not even being used in the context of why reverse racism was being used beforehand. Like, if you think about it, reverse racism started in the 90s when affirmative action started coming in. And unqualified blacks and people of color were getting jobs over and above people or white people.
Right.
Now,
qualified white people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I should have threw that in there. So, and because of affirmative action, which is just a whole shit show in itself, people who weren't qualified, but they were getting jobs because they're people of color. Now, white people were saying, well, we can't say this is racist because the whole political climate at that point, you couldn't say this is racism.
Yeah.
But they were trying to say, well, if you're doing this to fight racism, it's still, it's not racist, but they still view it as racist because they're white and they're not getting it. So it's still a form of racism.
Yeah.
But since it's a form of racism that's being used to fight racism, it's reverse racism. So that's when they started out with
it's fighting fire with fire.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why they called it reverse racism. So it was, but now people use the term reverse racism as if it's a black person being racist to a white person. That's just racism. Mm-hmm. And affirmative action wasn't racism. It was white guilt that disenfranchised a lot of people. First, you had a lot of black people that weren't qualified for the job that got the job, that ended up losing the job or in a worse position before they had the job.
Yep.
And then you have white people who are qualified for the job that can't get the job, and that broadened out that increased the lower and middle class of white people in the States, and it led to a lot of different things. You could look at Flint, Michigan. You could look at Detroit, Michigan.
Absolutely.
You could look at the closing of all the plants, and that's all a direct cause of affirmative action. So, reverse racism. If you look at it at the racism to fight racism, it's like the reverse Flash.
Right.
So that part, if you it's a dumb thing to call it, but in that context, maybe it does exist. But it's a dumb thing to call it. But how it's being used now, it's 100% reverse racism doesn't exist.
Can I just say that I respect you a million times more just from that last statement you made?
What?
I was
Like
under
the whole thing or the last part?
No,
of
the
it?
whole thing.
Okay,
I was under the impression
my last sentence then.
No, and maybe this is my racist tendencies coming out. I thought you were going to be on the complete opposite side.
That reverse racism does exist?
Yeah, and don't ask me why. I know you better than that. I just figured, and like I said, it just could be my discrimination. It's it just seems to me that everybody of your complexion.
Oh my god.
Go on.
Everyone of your complexion is on this side.
You realize that we're all pretty much the same complexion.
But, you know what I mean? But and the reason I said it is because I think you were on this podcast, you were the more liberal one of all of us, right? So I figured you would kind of go that route. But I respect your opinion on that. That's fantastic.
But isn't reverse racism, isn't it people who aren't white or people who are white that say reverse racism more than anybody else?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
100, a million percent.
Right? And
right?
I think it comes down to exactly what you said, right? White guilt. It seems to be very prevalent in the society now, and again since the 90s, right? I mean, when I came here in the early 90s, and I had not been exposed to reverse racism, anything like that in Trinidad, right? That doesn't really exist. At least didn't exist when I was there, right? Where someone would be like, well, you know what, so-and-so is being racist to me. Or what? Doesn't make any sense, right? So, I mean, I wanted to kind of expand on what you said there really briefly where, for example, fighting fire with fire. The fire you're using to fight the fire with, you don't call it reverse fire.
Right. But if the fire that started uses flammable products, you can use something that's inflammable.
It's true.
Takes me back to that Simpsons episode. But I thought it was inflammable.
So can we get into some? I think I know how you guys feel about this, but the basis of the argument that black people can't be racist towards white.
Well, yeah, no,
when a black person insults or threatens a white person because he or she is white, it isn't because the perpetrator believes the black race is better than the white race.
No.
It's a reaction to white racism. I don't know. I have no idea what white racism means.
I actually had some insight into that.
White racism when white people are racist.
Or is it black people being racist to white people?
Oh yeah, that's true. It could
Right?
be either or.
You see?
Yeah, no, but I had some
That's
insight into that
racism.
that idea, right?
You just reversed racism. You just sorry. Thanks.
No. I was talking to a mutual friend of all of ours who will remain nameless, and we had a very interesting, I would say, discussion.
Jesus Christ.
Sure, yeah, we'll go with
We
him.
just give you.
I tried whispering so we can hear it.
You get the dun for that. Shall remain nameless. John Smith from 745 52nd Street.
Don't dox him, please. Anyway, no, he was saying he's of the opinion that black people cannot be racist. Said, okay, how do you figure that? His theory is, and this is actually a theory that's been floated in North America in particular, and in the US in particular, and I found it very strange. They claim that black people can't be racist because they do not hold institutional power. Right? So my reply to that was, institutional power has nothing to do with racism. If you're discriminating against someone based on their race, regardless of how much power you hold or not, right? If you're saying this white guy can't do so and so and blah, 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 right? He can't play basketball because he can't jump. White guys can't jump, right? That's racist. Straight up, you're judging someone based on their race, right? So I don't think institutional power has anything to do with racism. But that's where the whole reverse racism idea, the root of the reverse racism comes from, right? Is a power disparity.
Right.
And you got to think of this is the United States of America, where it started out as a very racist gun-toting country.
Absolutely.
There's been a lot of changes, both positive and negative.
Yes.
But the institutional racism has been programmed into people's DNA, not just their brains, but their DNA, to the point where it's like there's still people that are carrying the mentality and the mind frame of their fellow
they've
man
been
and women
brainwashed.
from
Absolutely.
and they're getting brainwashed, but it's like you're getting this hand down from your great grandmother who could have been a sharecropper, and everything that she said was true.
Yeah.
But when you get from 1900 something to 1909 something, or even 2000 and something, some of that all whitey is out to kill you thing may not be the same as
It may not
was
be
in
applicable,
1900
yeah.
something. But you still have those. People just like you still have your grandmother's recipes.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Well, let me read.
still
Let
have
me read,
that.
let me read from this website here, and I think this kind of sums it up really well. This is from news24.com. I have no idea how well the source is, but I read this article and it was pretty accurate. So going back to what John said here, the other argument proposed for why black people can't be racist, namely that they have no power, is wearing very thin 24 years into our democracy. For one, there are many black people with a lot of power in every sense of the word, with a good number of white males with virtually no power. I didn't say males.
The last president was black.
Right. But as happens often, we're still borrowing this argument from American political culture where black people are still in the minority. I have never witnessed a black person cursing white people because she believes being black is superior, even where the words used would sometimes suggest that. So that kind of sums that up. I think what that is.
You sort of interrupt, but black people, y'all pissing me off. Black people pissing me off now.
Hey, put on your black accents to know you're black.
My niggas,
There you go.
don't take situations happening in your everyday life and then paint them with a huge economic political struggle brush.
Yeah. Not everything is.
Dave at motherfucking Lowe's
He's not being
is,
racist.
No, if he is being racist, it's not because of systematic racism and because he's trying to oppress you. It's because he's a fucking asshole.
Right.
But niggas, you can't be racist because niggas don't have power. Well, tell that to a white man who got lost in Compton, California in 1995.
Yeah. Exactly.
Black people have power, regardless of, just because it's not political power. But that's what they say. You can't be racist because they don't hold political power. They don't hold systemic power. Niggas have power, though.
Well, and I don't even think that the argument that African Americans, black people, don't have power, right? If you look at the demographic breakdown of North America, U.S. in particular, I know the U.S. Numbers are a little better than Canada. African Americans make up, I think, 13 to 14% of the population in the U.S.
I think it's 13, yeah.
Right?
But how much of that population is in jail?
I
think
don't
it's like
know.
8,
but
isn't it? 7 or 8?
7 or 8%?
No, not of that.
Yeah,
whole,
of that
Or 7 or 8 million.
That's more than 50% of the population of black people in jail.
Yeah,
It's possible.
It's
possible. But then...
Or they maybe have the chance to go to jail or have been to jail. If you add those,
yeah,
I can
but
see
I mean,
that.
according to the FBI
had the
statistics,
chance to go to jail.
Right.
We all have a chance to go to jail.
I mean, yeah.
you win a prize, you get jail. Do not pass go.
That's a shitty prize. I'll take door number 2.
Yeah, but no.
If you go to jail, someone's taking your door number 2.
But the point I'm making is this: just by numbers alone, it is unlikely that blacks would hold power in the U.S. because of the number of them there.
Yeah, the sheer percentage.
Right, the sheer
Right.
percentage is it's in favor of white people, right? So, and despite that, like I said, you had a president who was black for 8 years, right? Look at Maxine Waters in California, right? She holds power, and I don't know what she's doing with it except trying to look like James Brown, but that's another story entirely. Right?
Right. So I want
Hot tub too hot. Stick the toe in it.
So I wanted to. I just wanted to address. We put up a poll on our Facebook page here, and it just simply says, "Does reverse racism exist? Yes or no?"
Right.
51% yes, 49% no.
Really?
Right.
That is more than I expected.
Exactly. And there's people that voted yes that I would have swore could have voted no. People I know personally, I'm like, it's weird.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name anybody by name. Obviously, I don't want to call anybody out, but this is, and as I look, it's pretty divided between races. So I'm not sure if maybe the question was inaccurate, wasn't concise enough. I don't know what it was, but I don't think maybe the gist of it wasn't there. Like,
I don't know. I think that's a pretty cut and dry question.
right. So I'm just wondering, like, I'd love to get some feedback on this and how people believe that it's actually a thing. I mean, maybe they thought reverse racism just meant racism, which in that case, yes, it exists. But
Or maybe they thought it meant let's not be racist and be nice to everyone.
yeah, exactly. In that case, yes, I'll take that too, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe I should have clarified the question a little bit, but I just want to. That blew me away. These I'm looking at the stats, going, whoa.
I think
Whoa.
a good like little question thing for Facebook would be what do you think reverse racism is?
Means
Is
is.
not even
Same
means
thing.
like what
Same thing.
what is like what does
Yeah.
reverse what in your eyes what do you consider reverse racism?
Okay, I'll make sure. I'll post that when I post this. Actually, I'll post it right now and see what happens.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, people, does reverse racism exist? They say no, but racism does exist. But what do they think reverse racism is? Some people think reverse racism is just someone being racist toward white people,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
makes no sense.
Yeah, and on that
And in saying that, okay, so saying reverse racism is someone being racist to white people. So that means all racism is white people
being racist to
everybody else. Because
Yeah.
I mean, in essence, if going backwards is the opposite of going forward, then in order to go backwards, it means the only other direction you could go
Right.
is forward.
So I think reverse racism would be all people of color
being racist towards
white people, right?
in order to
So isn't
and that would mean white people would have to be racist to all these other ones. But that would mean
So-
that would mean that I couldn't be racist to an Asian or a Russian couldn't be racist towards you or
right? So if a white
something.
person, in essence, if a white person thinks reverse racism exists, wouldn't they in turn have to be inherently racist to believe that?
Right.
But that's an interesting topic, right? I think every human being is inherently racist, right? Whether we act on the racism or not is another story entirely,
Right.
right? Everybody,
Not racist, prejudiced.
no, racist,
Well-
racist, and I'll explain why I say that. It has been shown throughout human history that humans, by and large, have in-group preferences, right? Meaning that they prefer to be with someone of their own kind,
Right.
quote unquote, right? So that preference to be with someone of your own kind will sometimes manifest in ways that are negative,
Right.
right? We all carry with us that I would like to be. So, for example, myself, right? And I know Trinidadian is not a race per se, but I prefer to be with Trinidadians.
Or
Right.
Caribbean in general, right?
But that's
maybe
not-
that's some Caribbeans, but
No,
Yeah.
he prefers to be around Trinidadians.
I prefer to be
Nobody
around
likes
Trinidadians. Yeah,
Trinidadians.
absolutely.
we don't like
Right.
Trinidadians here.
I'm a light skinned Canadian. It's not
Fuck
like
all you
I
Trinidad.
prefer to be around pimps. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right? But so I remember talking to a bouncer. This is years and years ago. I was DJing at a club called My Apartment, and one of the bouncers there was a guy who we called Big Johnny, right? So one night, and Big Johnny's a big white biker-looking guy, right? Tough as nails dude, he could throw down, but really cool guy to talk to. And one night before the night started, we were all sitting around having a drink, and Big Johnny looks at me and he's like, I have no problem with black people, but I hate niggers.
That Chris Rock thing, man, bigger and blacker.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, explain. So there were two guys that bounced as well. They're who had Jamaican heritage, and he's like, okay, look at these two guys, Pat and Andrew. These guys are my brothers. I would fight for them. I would die for them. These are guys that I consider black guys, but they don't act like niggers,
right.
right? And then he said something that would put most people off, but I actually agree with him. He said, I am what I consider myself to be a white pridist. So you're okay, could you explain that? He goes, I have no problem with any other race, but I'm proud of my own race.
Right. I posted this thing
Which
about
is fine.
Yeah.
Right?
But
here's the thing,
strange
a lot
thing
of
is,
people-
a lot of white people would look at him and be like, you're racist.
Yeah.
No, but okay, but
A lot of people would look at
The
it and
thing-
say racist.
yeah.
I
Now
don't have any
that's-
problem with that.
that's loaded. We don't have a problem with that because we did not grow up or we were not exposed to a period of time where every time you heard white pride, it was
It meant
followed
KKK,
by
yeah.
it was followed by a lynching
Yeah.
or being drugged behind the truck. So
Yeah.
it's like being proud to be white, having white pride is fine.
Yeah.
Wearing a swastika is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But Hitler ruined it. So I'm sorry.
Was a swastika originally a Spanish thing or something?
It was
Hindu.
Hindu.
Yeah.
And it was like good luck and da da da.
Okay.
There was even like a hockey team in fucking Nova Scotia that used to have it. Like
Really,
back in
yeah?
the 19 somethings before the war. But
the Actung babies.
and I mean at the end of the day, it's good. Like it's good to have pride for your race. It's good to be proud of who you are. It's good to be proud of your heritage, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I'm sorry, white people, racists ruined that saying for you.
Yeah.
And regardless of how you look at that, I had a good conversation about my black friends and niggers with a white dude, and he pretty much explained the same thing. If they act ignorant, they do this, that, and the third. Da, 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 I consider that a nigger.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, do you consider
That was a hard
so?
R.
Yeah, and that's how they said it. They didn't say nigga. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't want to look like they're trying to act cool. Like I'd rather they do that than this. But my whole thing was this was my point. I'm like, okay, so I'm like, black people that you think are acting ignorant and da da da, you consider niggers? Yes. Indians? No. White people? No. Asians? No. Just the black people that act like that. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So, at what point in your life did you decide that you have the authority, or you have the authority, or even someone gave you have the lack of respect to decide when and where you can use that word and describe black people with that word, giving the history and nature of it, and not use it against it? So that would be, I wouldn't say. Now it's race. Like there's differences between race. In order for someone to be racist, they have to be using, whether it's a position of power, and the position of power could be coming into my house, sitting at the table with you and eating with you at whatever, that position of power to where you're inclusive. And to remove that inclusive based off of race is racism. Now, to say all Asians are bad drivers, to have a negative stereotype that you constantly put out there in regards to a race is prejudice or bigotry.
Yeah.
So I can say that not all people are inherently racist, but I can say all people are inherently bigots.
Yeah.
Because of just negative stereotypes. And sometimes, especially in Calgary, some of the negative stereotypes that you have are based off of experience.
Yeah, but I also think those to add to what you were saying, and maybe in a way to back up what I'm saying, and I agree with you 100%. I think the only thing missing from that, and you did say it, but you didn't elaborate. But if you think about the explanation, all these prejudices are based on race. Right?
Or
so if they are based on race...
Is it based on race or based on where somebody is from? Because that could be different, right?
Well, yes and no, right?
If you take race and loop, because if you take race and put it into that big pot, right? Because some of that racist prejudice, some people are racist against Jamaicans. Jamaicans
They're not
isn't
a
a
race,
race.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'm racist against Chinese. Chinese is not a race. You know what I'm saying? Me specifically, but someone says that. So if you just take, let's just say, like when we say race, we're just taking that whole lump thing.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
just throwing
because
it into the
racism
pot.
is a form of prejudice, but prejudice might not be a form of racism,
Yes,
right? Like,
yes.
I could go, well, all women are emotional.
That's
Right,
prejudice.
that's prejudice, but it's
not
not
racist.
racist,
Yeah,
right? So it's sexist. But no, I think, and this is my experience and from what I've seen, and again, I don't think it has anything to. I don't think it manifests very often, but I think every one of us carries some type of racist mentality, whether it's overt or covert or something we act on or something we believe or don't believe, etc., etc. I think we all have that, which stems from our in-group preference. Right? I mean, societies have been built because of in-group preference, right? And those societies are only successful because, and I'm talking more like prehistoric times or ancient times or whatever, and I guess even modern times when it comes to countries fighting each other, right?
Even sorry to interrupt, like even in modern times, in the sustainability of a specific culture within a city, if you look at Chinatown, if you look at the Jewish community in New York, you look
You
at
tend
that.
to stick to your own because you don't want any kind of...
Exactly, but then to exclude everyone else, so like, why do you have a Chinatown? Right, you have a Chinatown because number one, everyone from the Orient they're living there, but they exclude everyone else. Right. So they mightn't come out and say, "Oh, well, this stupid round eye," right? But their actions are showing that's how they think.
Not necessarily. I think maybe they want to be inclusive in a neighborhood in a setting that they know. They're not keeping anybody out necessarily. I mean, people go to our Chinatown all the time and buy different things here.
No,
and there,
but
right?
this is what I'm saying though. Is
But
like
they're living in an inclusive society.
Yeah, well, no, they're living in an exclusive society. right? Because that Chinatown, as an example, is exclusive to Asia.
Right, but do we put that label on it or do they?
It doesn't matter if they put a label on it, right? The action is showing that they are living there exclusively. You know what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying.
Right? I know.
I don't think it's
in-
exclusive
even
though. I
in-
think anybody can move in there. I think it just
Yeah, I stayed in Chinatown in Vancouver.
right. I don't think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
not necessarily
okay.
that racist
It's
living
just
there the
I think
whole
it's
time.
just
It's
like I don't think it's.
the reason I wouldn't move. Sorry, the reason I wouldn't move in there because I kind of respect that culture. If they want to be with their own, cool.
Right.
That's.
Right.
But I mean, I would obviously live there if the rent was great or whatever, and the food is fucking damn good.
I think they
Right?
just
I would
wanted,
move
like, I think they just wanted a big
Eating duck all
area
day.
where they had just like Chinatown. They wanted something like I can't even think like I know more Koreans in Chinatown than I do.
Yeah.
Chinese,
Right, and I mean,
but
you
they
know,
just wanted to include it with their culture and their everything like
I
that.
think it's
Just
something
have a
that the
piece of home there.
First generation immigrants want to come to this country and they want to be included in a community that they kind of know already, a cultural lifestyle that they know.
Yeah.
Instead of kind of being indoctrinated into a Canadian lifestyle. And a Canadian lifestyle is a melting pot anyway.
Yeah, but you know the funny thing is, coming from Trinidad, where that's not the case at all, right? I mean, you guys know my background is Asian, African, East Indian, Spanish, Portuguese, right? I'm all over the map, right? So within my own family itself, racism is something that's really, really not in anybody's mind,
Right.
Right? Like we are a melting pot. Trinidad is a melting pot, right? So to come here and see, maybe it's self-segregation, right? Because everyone knows in Calgary, you go to the south, you're going to see mainly Caucasians, right? As soon as you hit the northeast, you're going to see Africans and East Indians. When you go downtown to a certain part, you're going to see Chinese and Koreans and Japanese, right? If you go to the northwest in the really, really rich area, you're going to see mainly Caucasians as well, right? So there is that weird segregation going on, and to me, it seems strange.
I think it's more of a class thing than more of
It's kind of worse.
Like maybe income
income. Not class. Yeah, sorry, income. Because I think people are used to a certain standard of living,
right?
And if you look at, let's say, take the Northeast as compared to Chinatown, right? The Northeast is $200,000 homes, $200,000 to $400,000 homes. Let's say, right? Affordable homes, not that's a whole other fucking discussion.
We're in the Northeast. Because you go past Saddletown, you go to where I am, you go into where they're building right now. You go into you got to remember the Northeast is all the way up to.
No, I'm saying certain areas, right? They find it an affordable place where they can have 10 or 12 of their relatives live with them in the house.
Right.
It's easily affordable mortgage that way. And
That's wrong.
If they have 12 people living in a house,
Right. They have 12 people living in the house, and not all 12 people are working.
Okay, no, just can I get my point? Let me get my point out first, and we can go into that. It's like you see people like, especially I'm going to say white people that grew up in Canada that are used to a certain way of living, as compared to people that, let's say, come from India who are used to having that many people in a house and living in a certain way, right? It's black and white.
Your case is brown and white.
Well, I'm not talking race. I'm talking. I'm talking.
I know.
It's two different sides of a coin, right? You're used to having a white person grow up in a single person or a single family dwelling, right, in a house, and they want to go buy a house, and that's kind of the cycle and how their culture was raised, right? Whereas in an Indian culture or in a Chinese culture, an Asian culture, the kids are taken care of by the parents until they get married or something like that, right? And then when they get married, then they take care of the parents, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's always living together, right? So it's a different culture to get used to, and maybe I think they feel more comfortable because they don't want to be judged by outsiders at how they're living. I think that might be a little bit.
Maybe I don't know.
I just don't think it's done because people are racist or they want to be.
They want to be segregated.
They want to be
from everybody
segregated.
else, yeah.
I think it's just more of an income thing and a cultural thing, right?
Yeah.
I think it just worked out that way. If you came in from a country, and then you came into the country, and you're like, okay, so I'm coming to Canada. I'm coming to Calgary. I got a job lined up. I speak a little bit of English. My cousin hooked me up with the job. They called me in there. Where am I going to stay? I'm going to stay where I can speak my language, but with people that know how to speak English and learn English.
Right.
Okay, so now I got that job. I'm at my cousin's house. Da 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 da. I got enough for my own place. Now I'm bringing in my wife and my kid, and we're like, okay, we're already here. We're already established. I think it just worked out that way. As far as the East Indian community and all that, I think it just worked out that way. You have if you go down to the South, you still have the Jewish community, which worked out the same way, right? And they're all, and I mean, with East Indians, they're all in the same house because it's cultural.
Yeah,
you don't put your parents in the home. You don't put your grandparents in the home.
Yeah, and I think what it is more people, like, especially the more immigrants that Canada gets, especially in Calgary here, you'll have these groups of people that'll have cousins or second cousins or whatever that'll call their family, hey, why don't you come live in our neighborhood? And, it just multiplies and multiplies and multiplies.
So you think
right?
it's more of a convenience thing rather than a segregation thing?
I believe so, man.
Convenience, comfortability.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a racist thing, and maybe this is my my just narrow way of thinking, but I don't think it is.
That's food for thought. That's definitely a decent explanation.
But that's just how we see it in Calgary. I mean, if you go to
other parts of the world, it
York,
could be completely different.
You go to New York, you're not going to Little Italy. You're not living in Little Italy. You're not going to living in Chinatown or San Francisco. Like these different places. I think Calgary
is a unique place for sure, right? But on that topic though, I think there are certain things that I've seen since moving to Canada that have kind of rubbed me the wrong way as far as how the Canadian government handles things with regards to immigration. Right? So when I moved to Canada, the expectation was I was moving to a country that, Canadians are well known around the world for being very nice and very welcoming and whatnot, right? And that's not a bad thing. But I think that they can be a little too accommodating in certain cases.
Fuck you,
right?
Trudeau.
So, it's not even Trudeau. This happened before.
No, I'm just saying that.
Right?
I just want to say that. Put that out
right?
there.
But okay, Trudeau is actually a good starting point to kind of start with and then move back, right? Putting up terrorists and bringing terrorists into the country because we are nice is ridiculous, right? But that being said, that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is there was a story a few years back of immigrants coming to Canada who wanted to sing the Canadian national anthem in their own language. Right? Now, as far as I'm concerned, if you are moving to another country, it is to your advantage to learn the language or languages of that country, right? There is no other country on earth that I can move to and go, I refuse to learn German. So I'm just going to speak English. I'm going to become a German citizen, but I expect everyone to understand me when I talk. I'm sorry, a whole country should not be bending over backwards for me, right? And that being said, this is now, I'm going to bring it back, this is now a form of racism, right? Because these people are coming here now, immigrants are coming here, and I can speak on this because I'm an immigrant, right? I came here with the expectation of, listen, I'm going to bring all the good things from Trinidad here and leave all the nonsense behind, right? I'm a Canadian citizen now, and that being said, I will abide by Canadian laws and rules, right? So far as they are not immoral. But people coming here now are enacting what people would think would be reverse racism, getting back at the man, whatever the case is, and saying, no, I'm singing national anthem in Hindi. Well, you know what? Go back to Hindi then. Screw that. Get out.
Where's Hindi?
Exactly.
No, I completely agree. I think if you're going to immigrate to a country, you have to kind of conform to that country's...
You have to integrate.
Yeah, exactly. And you need to be... I'm all for multiculturalism. I'm all for it. I'm multicultural, goddammit. I don't...
You're multiracial.
Yeah, sure. No, I am. I threw me right off. I don't think people should come here and... Like this whole riding a motorcycle with a turban on, or
nonsensical,
right? You have to conform to our laws.
Yes,
you have to conform to what we deem to be necessary in society, what we deem to be correct in society, right? And I think that's where most of this kind of racial slurs and racist terms come from, is where people aren't.
They're being ignorant.
Yes, they're being ignorant to where they are.
Yeah,
right, to society in general, and I think that's it's wrong on two sense. Yes, they shouldn't have the racist slurs thrown at them, and also yes, they should conform.
Yeah, and I think on that point, and this is actually going out to all of the Canadian listeners out there. Canadians need to stop being so nice, right? And I don't mean be mean and be assholes just for the sake of being an idiot.
Yes, he does.
Right? No, I don't.
Okay.
What I mean is, do what is good, but don't always be nice. Right? Now, nice and good are not mutually exclusive, but sometimes you can be nice and be doing the stupidest thing in the world. Right? It's that whole give a man a fish, he will eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, you can feed him for life, or he can feed himself for life. Right? The Canadian attitude right now is just give a man a fish. Let's be nice. But that's not the good thing to do.
No.
The good thing to do is to teach him how to fish.
Well, it is a good thing to do, but it's the good thing to do, but you should also teach him how to fish.
I think, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But you can if you hold his neck right. So you got to think of it like this. Canada is 150% a nation built off of immigration.
I disagree with that, but I'll tell you why later.
So it's built off of immigration.
I disagree with that, but I'll tell you why later.
If you're not native, at some point, whether willingly or unwillingly, you immigrated here.
There's a very big distinction between immigration and pioneering. Right?
Okay.
So and I'll tell you what it is.
Okay, so let's put it like this. Canada is a nation built off of people that came from other places.
Absolutely, no, you're correct in that. You're correct in that statement.
Right. They
right?
came from
but here's where it gets, and this is where people get messed up. Right? Immigration implies that you are moving to an established nation. Right? Pioneering implies that you've come to a place that has not been settled. Right? Now, when Europeans came to North America, by and large, North America was not settled.
by Europeans.
No, it wasn't settled, period.
But was someone there?
There was somebody there.
Were they comfortable?
But, hold on.
They settled in. If
Hold
they was
on.
comfortable, they settled in.
Hold on. The natives here had no established nations. They had no established settlements. They were nomadic.
Okay.
Right? So, by the definition of settling, you can't say they had settled the land.
By the definition of
But they occupied the land.
No, by the definition of settling, which was given to us by the people who settled the land. You see what I'm saying? They did what they did, then gave us the definition of what they did.
Well, no. Settling has been that's a historical. It's almost prehistorical.
Almost.
Right?
But it's written by the people who
prehistorical,
did. But my whole point is that's a whole other
Yeah.
conversation. My whole point is Canada is a nation that from history, all throughout history, is a nation that
was built by people who weren't from here.
Built by people who aren't from here.
Yeah.
And the people that come into here help build onto it. A lot of laws that were around in the 50s changed, and a lot of laws, not because we're being nice, but a lot of our ways of life and things like that do change the more different nations come in. Sometimes, I'm not saying drastic laws and stuff like that, but sometimes, just like with everything, things need to change with the times.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I think
absolutely.
I think sometimes I do agree with the being too friendly, but I do agree with sometimes when you have a large number now of some of these people that want these laws to get passed that aren't immigrants, they are first and second generation Canadians that still have that religion. So the
tradition, you should say.
the tradition. So the motorcycle helmet thing really isn't people immigrating here and asking for the laws to get changed. It's people that the second and third generation
established
established in government, established in the city, built the city, and born and raised Canadians that still have that culture. Now we're saying, okay, so now some things, let's try and see if we can have some laws that do accommodate for our culture, just like that happens across Canada, right?
Yeah, but
I'm not against the no helmet thing. To me is like, okay, you don't want to wear a helmet. There's a lot. It's different now. You don't have to wear a helmet, but now everybody else has to wear a helmet. I would have been like, okay, if there's no helmet law, then it has to be on some
across
across the board, no helmets, certain stipulations, this, that, and the third, or whatever.
Yeah, but I think the point of that whole no helmet thing speaks to, again, Canadians being too nice. That is a very good example of doing the nice thing versus doing the right thing, right? There is a logical, established reason for wearing a helmet when you're on a motorcycle, right? I don't care what religion you are. If you want to ride a motorcycle, you need to wear a helmet. Someone could easily come up and say, no, well, getting a driver's license is against my religion, right? And who am I to dispute that?
But they should have popped it off like this, right? Getting like.
But I deserve to drive a car regardless.
Do you honestly, okay, but getting a license and not is different. Like if you don't have a license, you drive your car. If you can drive that car better than someone with a license, you specifically and me and myself, I don't give a fuck if he has a license. I may not get in the car with him, but if someone is on the road and doesn't have a license, and they're driving fine, I don't give a fuck. And that's the same thing with someone with a helmet. Like, do we honestly care if someone wears a helmet or not? No, it's the actual onset of that specific law. So if I was in power, I would have been like, okay, cool. No, we're not going to pass a law about you can't wear your helmet. But at the end of the day, you know, these motherfuckers see you driving with the helmet, they ain't going to fuck with you that much. If you crash and die, that's your own shit.
Here's my
Do
problem.
you care if someone gets a ticket if they wear a helmet?
No, I don't personally, but what I do
Right.
care, what I do care is the uneven application of the law.
The law-
Right, exactly.
The laws
That's
need to be
and that's
equal.
my whole point. If the
Right.
law wasn't there, would you care if they drove around without a helmet?
No, I wouldn't
And,
care.
and
but
would you care if nobody? Would you care if nobody cared?
No, I wouldn't either.
So if you
right?
saw
So,
exactly,
but
so exactly, and that's
what
my
I'm saying.
point. So
whole
why
point is
pass
I'm-
the law?
Yeah.
So I'm like in like 50-50 with y'all. Like, why pass the law? How many fucking
Here's the point.
turn the blind eye
here's-
laws are out
here's-
there
here's-
that aren't really laws, but there's the police turn the blind eye.
Here's the point. Here's the point that I'd like to make in this is that I have a lot of friends that ride motorbikes. Most of them are white, or all of them aren't Sikh or whatever the
Sikh,
religion
yeah.
is, right? Sikh. Their issue isn't that these guys can't wear helmets. Their issue is that they are being forced to wear helmets while
Yeah.
these guys don't have to.
Yeah, that's
And
our point.
right? And
that's my point.
And that's the whole thing. Shout out to CJ, man. He kind of put it this way. He said, "Why do I have to follow a law? I was born in this country. Why do I have to follow a law where somebody else is born in this country doesn't have to follow the exact same law because of something they could or could not be real,
Yeah. No, very true. Very true. Right.
right?
And I look at a place like Canada, right? And I remember as a kid meeting Canadians in Trinidad, and there was a distinct culture to Canadians. As much as Canadians like to deny that they have a culture, my experience is once you've moved away from your country, you actually discern your culture a lot better. Right? You're not in the thick of it anymore, and you go, "Hey, I'm missing this. I'm missing that."
It's like Muslims stoning
Right?
women to death, and they come on over here and not doing it. Is that what you're saying?
Wow, that's an extreme example. But sure, why not? We'll go with
right.
that, Mr. Ramlal. Right? But there's a few. I've watched a few videos on this, and I can't help but agree with them. And on the surface, they seem to be racist, right? They seem to be very prejudiced, and they're all about white power. But I completely agree with Canada for Canadians, Trinidad for Trinidadians, Guyana for Guyanese, Zimbabwe for Zimbabweans, etc., right? What Canada is risking right now is a complete decimation of the Canadian culture and the Canadian way of life, right? I have no problem with immigration so long as it is regulated and so long as it is done in a manner that you can let in just the right amount of people who will not disrupt your culture. Okay. If you let in a small amount of immigrants, then they are forced to integrate. If you let in a large amount of immigrants at one time, then they will, what shall I say, self-segregate. No, they won't assimilate. They will self-segregate, right?
Okay. I think we have to establish. I mean, Canada is its own culture, even though it was made by a bunch of. It's very multicultural, and we do have our own culture here. We're now into whatever the 50th generation, however many it is, right? Probably not that long, but
Quite a few generations
right.
of Canadians.
We have people that are born in Canada, raised in Canada, have died in Canada, and I think everywhere in North America is all going to be multicultural, right? So you can't say that Canada is built on all these cultures coming together, right? So I'm not sure exactly where you're going when you say you can't let all these people in at the same time. I agree with you. You shouldn't let all these immigrants in at the same time,
And this is coming from an immigrant and the son of an immigrant.
right? But what should happen is it's good to have the influence and have their say on things as well, because that's how Canada was built. That's why we have the laws we have, and I mean, most of them are British laws, right? Am I correct on that?
British and French, yeah.
Right. So, but most of them are now built around this whole multicultural society that want to introduce new laws, as Will was saying, right? That pertain to their culture. Now, is that right in Canada because we are a multicultural country?
You see, now
and let's
this
get
is-
back on
this
track
is-
here eventually too.
Well, I think this is actually part of the topic of reverse racism, right? Like, the man wearing a turban rather than having to wear a helmet definitely speaks to that concept, and I say that in inverted commas, the concept of reverse racism, right? Where because I am part of a minority that was historically, and I say that very strongly, historically oppressed by Caucasians, then I should now be given extra rights to combat that perceived historical oppression.
Yeah.
Right? And to me, that is the root of the nonsense. Right? Do you know any slaves, Will?
No.
Have you ever met a slave?
Yeah.
Like an actual bona fide slave?
Well, some of my family was sharecroppers and
Okay, so you've met slaves. You've met people who were slaves.
descendants of slaves.
Okay, descendants of slaves. That's a different story, right? I in my own family, I have descendants of slaves, right? My great grandmother was a direct descendant of a slave, of slaves.
The whole Caribbean was founded on slaves.
Yeah, well, sure, why not? But that being said, you can't go around in this day and age saying, well, so and so is owed to me because my great grandmother was a slave, right? I have not met a slave in my life. I have never seen a slave in my life, right? I've seen mental slaves.
And I think that circles back. I think that circles back to what Will was saying, that it's in the DNA. This mindset
Exactly
has been brought down,
exactly.
right? And it's disturbing because you see things happening now, like the Harvard thing with the Asians, right? Mm-hmm. They're discriminating at Harvard, an institution that is founded on having the greatest minds in the world to go there.
Are saying Asians can't enter now.
Are saying Asians can't go in because they're too good. And they're raising the bar for Asians to get in, and they're being discriminated
and
against.
lowering the bar for African Americans, which makes no sense.
Harvard is also known for having a history of, like, it's not when you hear Harvard say we're not letting such and such in because that.
Yeah, but we're talking
Harvard.
Yeah, but we're talking Asians. Probably, I don't think.
Okay, but I mean, at the end of the day, discrimination is discrimination.
No, I agree.
But
with
here's
that.
the messed up thing.
But
On the
here's-
reverse side of it, they're lowering the bar for African Americans.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Right.
so what they're doing is
But
bringing,
they're lowering the bar for it. See, this is what's fucked up. So it's like they're lowering the bar for African Americans because they have a history of saying no to African Americans just based off of being African American. And when you get called out on that shit and people start to recognize that shit, you kind of tend to overcompensate. You dig what I'm saying? It's like affirmative action.
But is it correct? Is it the correct thing to do?
No, it's not the
Agreed.
correct thing to do.
Yeah.
The correct thing to do is admit that what you did was wrong and just stop.
Yeah.
or maybe
Not
Agreed.
overcompensate.
Agreed.
Or
Right?
maybe-
just stop doing it.
or maybe it's because Harvard.
Absolutely agreed.
Maybe it's because Harvard read the study about genetics and race as compared to IQ. I'm not sure if the study. I've read the study. Have you heard about this?
Oh yeah.
So, and this is huge. And we're probably gonna get some backlash on this, but have you heard of the study? Well-
I've seen it and skipped through it, like skipped past.
Skip
Oh, you
past
didn't-
it.
you
I
didn't read
scrolled
it.
past.
So
I'm like, fuck outta here with this.
the study pretty much said that Asians have a higher mental acuity for IQ. White people and black people have a better EQ, and black people on the norm have a lower IQ than all races. Now, I'm not sure from what.
Dude, people in the U.S. still feel like black people have a higher pain threshold than anybody else, and their skin may be a half an inch to an inch thicker. Not like they have thick skin, like you know how you from Alberta,
No.
you got thick skin because
Yeah.
it's cold. No, half an inch thicker, and they don't feel pain. They have a bigger pain registry than white people. People believe this, and when you look at
Is that true?
100%.
No. Is it true that you have
Thicker skin than Caucasians.
No,
I'm just wondering.
dead
dog.
ass.
Just wondering, dog.
No, but
Like,
the
So
study-
people that believe in fallacies, and that's what's happening all around the fucking place, right? And it's disturbing to think that when you have all these people intermingling at the same damn time, it's disturbing to think that because somebody's an asshole to you means they're racist. Because you can't get into a place because of let's say your grades aren't good enough that
That
now
they're being
Harvard is
racist,
racist, right? Get your
no,
But
and
then
I
at the
understand
end
what
of
you're saying,
at
right?
the end of the
Like-
day, but you can't get frustrated about that at the end of the day, because if some place institution has a history of not letting someone in, not based off of their race, And then all of a sudden, quietly, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do the right thing now." And someone who his grades, maybe his grades are good enough. Maybe he's at a 3.9, someone's at a 4.0, and the white person gets ahead of him. You can't blame him for thinking maybe it was because of my race. When you're trying to get into a place who history usually dictates in institutions.
Okay, but why is
History
racism
dictates.
the first thing people jump to? Why isn't it? Why
Because
is it what can I
historically-
do to better myself?
But because historically, in the United States,
No, I get what you're saying.
racism. You asked me a question,
No,
and
I-
that's the answer.
okay.
Why is racism the first thing people jump to? Because the U.S. is built off of racism, and then when it's time to stop, everywhere you look and everywhere you go, some form of racism is put into your face, whether it's by your peers, whether it's by the media, whether it's by studies that we all said we don't know if it's true or not, but the studies just taught us segregation and allowed us to comment on a stereotype about Asians being smart.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? And black people have a lower IQ. I'm not mad at that because it says black people have a lower IQ. I'm mad at that because you expect me to believe because of the color of my skin or the color of his skin, my brain cannot function at the same level as that person, or vice versa. They can't be a fucking idiot because they're Asian. Dog, you look at the family structure. Yeah. And it goes back to this. It goes back to what we were talking about all the whole family in the house. Look at the family structure of middle class blacks, middle class whites, middle class Asians in the United States. In the middle class Asian home, the whole family's taking care of each other.
Yep.
So when the kid comes home from school, grandma and grandpa are there to help with the homework. And grandma and grandpa are still stooped in tradition where academics is the way you show pride to your family and make your family proud through academics. Black people, middle class black home, both parents are probably working. You know what I'm saying? Middle class blacks, they probably, even if they both got good jobs, but they feel that the way to pride your family is through monetary gain.
Yeah.
But it's not wealth. It's riches. They want to come back showing who has the best this, who has the best that.
Yeah.
You look at the middle class white family,
they're about attaining.
They're in between that. Plus, they want to obtain debt to obtain wealth. They're about wealth, things that appreciate. So you look at that. So that you can say, well, black people have a lower IQ because they're not really focused. They're focused on more athletics. Your heroes and everything when they are athletics, you want that athletic stuff. You see everybody that looks like you doing this, that, and the third. So this study is not a study of your IQ. The study is really a study of the social and economic state the U.S. is in. The U.S. is fucked. And everybody jumps to racism. You know why? If you grew up in a family where you saw your grandfather beat your grandmother, your dad beats your mom, and then you get into a fight with your husband, first thing you're going to do when your husband raises his voice is flinch. Not because he has hit you, because you have a history of seeing someone get hit before anything else. And you may never get hit in that relationship. And it may take 10 to 20 to 30 years of that relationship before you stop flinching. The U.S. is fucked. The U.S. thug life. The hate you gave little infants fucks everybody. And you see the hate that the U.S. gave to all of its children of all colors. Black people hate white people. Asians, the Koreans hate the Filipinos. The hate has been embedded and not even on such a front where it's like in your face.
That was a rhetorical question.
Wow, easy.
That was a straight answer.
Yeah,
that was a straight answer.
That was 4
The
minutes
US is
of
fucked.
I was literally trying to say that's a rhetorical question before he started answering. Yo, I like the answer. It was rhetorical, but I like the answer.
Yeah, but I think you know what, Will, you touched on a very very interesting point.
Nice, I like that.
Touched on a very interesting point as far as what might cause an IQ difference, right? And again, I'll go back to the contrast between growing up in Trinidad and seeing how life is lived in North America. In Trinidad, nobody cares what color you are, right? In high school, the only thing that matters is your marks, right? And there was no disparity that I was able to discern in high school in Trinidad between the Asian Trinidadians, the black Trinidadians, the white Trinidadians, and the East Indian Trinidadians, and then people like me who are mixed, right? It was a widespread across the board, right? And high school in Trinidad is absolutely brutal. In every class you're in, at the end of the term, you are ranked according to what your marks are. So if you go home with a report card saying I came 23rd out of 30 students in my class, regardless of if I got all straight A's, your parents are beating you. You should have come in the top 10. Right? So, but what I've come to understand in the US in particular is the black community after, and this is strange, this is unusual, after segregation has done worse than before segregation, right? After segregation ended in the US, the number of unmarried mothers skyrocketed to something like 80%, right? With that being said, a mother cannot raise a child properly if she has to work all the time, right? So what do you have then? You have a generation of children growing up who, because of their circumstances, will have a lower IQ. It has been shown that two parents in the house raising a child helps their IQ increase.
Right, but it's not. And then, but you got to think about. There's levels to IQ. They may have a lower academic IQ,
but might have a higher
EQ.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was EQ when it's like common sense and
like
things
street
like
knowledge
or
whatever, right?
And then you might have someone who's better at, and then you might have someone who doesn't have any of the parents in the house, but their uncle comes over and helps them fix cars.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, these are all the what ifs, right?
Yeah,
I'm talking the blanket studies, right?
And these studies, stop doing studies about that. Stop doing studies that compare race to another race.
Yeah.
Stop that shit and stop publicizing them.
Yeah, but
stop
I think that goes to another thing now, right? Like, now another, but another thing I've seen, right, in the African American community is we want to be treated like everybody else. That's fine. I have no problem with that. I will treat everyone, and I believe it is the correct thing to treat everyone as equals, right? You're a human, I'm a human. End of story, right? If I call you out on something, don't look at me and say, oh, you're just calling me out because I'm black. No, I'm calling you out because you did something dumb.
But I do see that has gone down a lot as far as the race card. The race card was huge in the 90s.
In the 90s, it was a massive thing,
The race card is picking up so much more steam right now, though.
Really,
but it's coming right back. Like, it's everything now is about race.
You think there's more division happening now?
I know, but America right now is divided 1,000,000%.
But it's not because people are playing the race card. It's because what we're being shown is pitting the races against each other. It's not like someone saying I didn't get this because I'm black. Mm-hmm. It's not personal experience now. It's like, for example, if you like the study that you're telling us about, or if you go on TV and it's another, or you go on Facebook and it's another black kid getting shot, or it's another black dude ripping off a MAGA hat and fighting a white dude.
Yeah,
like it's not even like.
Yeah, it's the stuff that's publicized.
Yeah,
right?
Everything that's publicized to you is making you think about race. Like, we're doing a show based off of none of our personal experiences. It's not even like we personally went through something and said we need to do this show.
Yeah,
it's because of all the bombardment of race shit that the media is giving us. Dog. When I say I don't see color, I say that in the most figurative sense. Of course, I see color.
Yes,
but
you don't act on it.
I can't.
Yeah.
Half, like, my grandfather's Hungarian. Half of my family, I have cousins.
Yeah.
Who have a white mom and a black dad, but then they got divorced, and their mom married a white dude. And I have cousins who are mulatto, but their blood brother is full white.
Yeah, and I'm in the same boat as you will, right? Like, I do see differences in skin color. I see differences in height. I see differences in weight. I see differences in sex.
But it doesn't.
Right? But it doesn't affect how I treat the individual.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, what you look like, your race does not allow me to make a decision on how I treat you.
Exactly.
But it does allow me to make a decision on what situations I will deal with you. Right. For example, if I'm going to go out for a night of drinking,
you're not going to a reggae party.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to go to a reggae party, and I'm not going to a predominantly black club.
Right. No, that's very true. That's very true, right? Because you know
what happens,
what is more likely to happen than not. Yeah. Right. And that's the sad thing about what
that's
I would
based
say
off
is
of experience.
yeah,
though.
it's definitely based off experience. Like you and I have both been in parties, hip hop parties. Me, Parnell, you have been in hip hop parties that have been shut up. Right? I've never been in a country bar that's been shut up.
Nope.
Right? I've never been in an Asian karaoke party that's been shut up.
No.
But
Asian carrier. You had to go.
Yo,
there.
this
But-
one time,
Well,
yo,
I have to, but-
this one time the Yakuza came through.
Yeah, no
But this
doubt,
black
right?
dude and his little Asian friend, I think they were cops. They helped out. But I couldn't get home because it was rush hour.
oh my punchline! You need to give yourself a budum ching on that.
No, that's a fucking dun. No. Yeah. Okay. I can take that one. That's how it works.
No. Okay. Yeah.
Which one of y'all hit me?
Which one of y'all kicked me?
Oh,
Yo, that
shit.
guy's voice.
Both of y'all have the worst Chris Rock impression.
Yeah, no, I hate Chris
And it's
Rock.
Chris Tucker. My bad.
And I hate Chris Tucker too.
You have the worst memory in movies.
Right?
I do.
But that being said, now this is the other aspect now of the difference with the races, right? Is that how many of these guys coming here, and I hate to see this, right? I remember DJing at this one club called Plush, and I'm outside just chilling before my set, and an East African guy comes up, stands in the line, and he looks at me, he's like, "Hey, you're the DJ." I'm like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Hey, where you from?" I say, "Trinidad." I say, "Where you from?" He's like, "Africa." I go, "Yeah, what brings you here, man?" He's like, "Man, I'm pushing keys."
It was this
So-
nigga just reciting off colloquialisms. Like,
No, this is my thing, right? You've come here from Africa to do what? Sell drugs?
Right.
Because you saw that on TV?
By the way, pushing keys means moving cocaine, kilos of
Yeah.
cocaine.
Right? That's the nonsense that I'm
fucking
seeing
Escobar
now.
over here.
Right? Yeah. That's the nonsense I'm seeing here is that you have this established, I say again in inverted commas, black culture, right? That normally no one would want to emulate, but now because it's been made cool, people want to emulate it. The thug life, the gangster life, etc., etc. You want to be hardcore. And that to me is another big problem, especially with the black community.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Is that they're looking at this lifestyle and going, yeah, that's how I get ahead. That's how I do things, right? I remember talking to my brother, and my brother was reading an article written by an African American, and the gist of the article was, if you have come up hard, right? You were born and raised in the ghetto, you didn't have, everything handed to you on a platter, you need to be the transitional character in your family, right? You need to be the one that turns your family history around. And I thought that was really deep, because not everyone thinks that way. Look at someone like Ben Carson. Right, Ben Carson is one of the, not North America's, but world's leading neuroscientists, neurosurgeons.
Neil deGrasse.
Right?
Neil deGrasse.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, exactly right.
But you gotta
have
think-
some very smart people, but Ben Carson in particular came up hard, right? And
Detroit or some shit, or Chicago.
yeah, some
and,
ghetto he grew up in,
slum,
yeah,
like-
right. And he decided he was like, you know what, this is not
Not for me.
for me, right? This is not how I want my family
he
to
have
be
parents?
remembered. He had a mother.
Okay.
That was it.
Did he have positive male role models?
I don't think so.
Not one. And see, and that's what's fucked up because that's dope though because that's it's hard.
But here's my point, though. Here's my point. Rather than look at the system and say the system is inherently racist, so I can't do anything, he looked at the system and went, I'm going to beat this system. Right? And he did.
But some people don't even like. This is off on a whole different thing. Some people don't look at the system and say, the system is racism. I can't do anything. A lot of people have that crutch.
Yeah.
A lot of black people have that
Yeah.
crutch. I know,
And that's sad.
A lot of black people use the diabetes crutch too. I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? It's like I put all that sugar in my Kool-Aid because of my diabetes. Nigga, you ain't got diabetes yet.
But you
But
will.
but coming up in a single parent household, and in a lot of cases, probably less now than it was in the 90s and the 80s, and a lot like when the crack epidemic hit. You're coming up in no parent households,
Yeah.
and then you see the dude driving in a Cadillac, gold chains, all the girls, da da da. He takes you under his wing. You have that father figure, which is 100% negative.
Yeah.
That's how girls get. That's how girls get turned out when they're 13,
Yeah, that's how
14
kids
years old.
start
That's how
being
kids start
mules.
being mules and drug
Yeah.
dealers and shit. So at that point, like that is a completely opposite reason of why they're stuck where they are than the black kid that came in from Africa with his parents to sell keys.
Yeah.
Or the kid that's saying, well, I can't get anywhere because I'm black. But then as soon as they fall into that trap, and then it's usually a nigga goes to jail and then they want to get out. Well, now you have the black felon.
Yeah.
Now there's gonna be some things that are against you, but still stop because there's how many people have been to jail and came out, right?
Yeah. 'Cause everybody's decision. Yeah.
You may have that felon card, but still, you everybody's decision everybody makes their decision, but I think sometimes in some cases it may be harder for someone to get out of that decision. But with what you're saying, 100%, like if you keep your head about you, he probably had a wonderful mother who just, like, you know what I'm saying, like pushed him and you're the best. Don't worry about what's going on around you. And it's got to be tough. Like none of us had to sit through.
It's not
like
difficult,
you know what I'm
right?
saying. Like there's niggas out there that they have to watch TV on the floor. Just in case stray bullets go through the windows.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? All that extra stuff, and
I've actually been through that. But
yeah, so you know what I'm saying? Exactly. So you know how tough it is to go through that, be hungry, go to school, and you're like you got no sleep because sirens and gunshots. Now you try to focus on schoolwork, but your stomach is aching. You know what I'm saying? It's like I can see how
there are difficulties, right? Like I'm not saying it's an easy life, and you know I thank God every day that I didn't have to come up hard like that, right?
But you can see how a brother could be like, fuck this.
I can definitely understand, right? I can definitely understand. I can't condone, but I can understand.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this the other day. The hero versus the villain, right? Just in general, the hero is the guy who will sacrifice everything to make sure that good is accomplished, whereas the villain takes the convenient way out, right? Applying that to the black community in North America, you have to be brave if you've come up in a hard place, right? You have to be very brave. And as much as it pains me to say this, you have to be brave to the point where you're willing to lose your life.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is
because
fucked.
it is screwed. It is very screwed. But the other messed up thing is it's blacks doing this to blacks now.
Which is fucked.
It's very fucked.
And I was watching First 48 today. And I was sitting there, I'm like, fuck, this nigga just came out of the jail cell and snitched on these people. And then I'm like, fuck. This nigga picked up his friends to go buy some weed, and the friends in the back seat decided to rob the kid that they bought the weed from, shoot him and kill him. And the dude driving the cars was like, what the fuck? Now the dude driving the car is doing 3 to 5, and he's a snitch.
So he's dead in prison.
And all he wanted to do was go buy some weed. Then I'm like, that so many things hit me today. Then I'm like, these niggas just robbed another black man and shot him in the back while he was running out.
Yep.
And now his parents and his girl and his baby and everything like that, throwing balloons up. I'm like, why are black people so comfortable with killing black people?
It's messed.
That's reverse racism.
It is.
That's fucking reverse racism.
Yep, we've just defined reverse racism.
They will yell.
Once again, we've solved the issue.
Yeah, that's reverse racism. And think about it. It may have started at a certain point, but you can't even say it's that anymore. Nobody can blame Reagan.
Exactly.
Reagan may have planted the seed, you watered the tree.
No one can blame who is it, General Grant or Lee? What was the Confederate?
General Lee.
General Lee. No one can blame him anymore.
No.
That was hundreds of years ago.
You think about
I am.
You should ask that question.
Yeah, no, I am open to the fact that history does play a part in what we live in today. But at the end of the day, that history doesn't exist anymore. That's not the present.
Exactly.
Right? And I think if there's any takeaway from this episode, especially to the African American community, is number one, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Right? Right? It's like what Bob Marley said, none but ourselves can free our minds.
True.
Right? So I remember listening to a speech from Marcus Garvey, and he's addressing an African American crowd. Right? And he's being hardcore. He's calling them a race of imbeciles and idiots. Because he knows that they would rely on, well, the white man did this to us and the white man did that to us. He's like, no, screw that. Pick yourself up. Be real.
That's why I like Tupac so much.
He called it as he saw it.
Yeah, and like some of those, because Tupac, he was actually going to be a leader of the new Black Panthers in Atlanta if he didn't get the music popping off. But when you see some of the speeches and some of the... I don't know what you do when you stand and you talk. He talked to high school kids, seminars, things like that, right? And you just tell him, he's like, don't know. If the white man doesn't it's not even like the white man wants to keep you down, so hold your head down. If the white man wants to keep you down, don't let him.
Yeah.
Even if you know what I'm saying, it's different now. But even if it don't let him.
Yeah.
You say don't blame what you're you could do anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck
You
y'all.
know?
But you so and then black people want to talk about how they want more black this, more black that, but they're so comfortable with killing each other.
Yeah.
People need to go into these fucking hoods and talk to these motherfuckers. We need the leaders, not we, because we good here, but black people need the leaders that they had in the 90s.
Yeah, they need the leaders that they had in the 60s.
60s, 70s.
Right?
They
Martin
have
Luther King.
name one black leader right now. Name one black leader and fuck Jesse Jackson.
One positive black leader.
One positive
Yeah.
black leader that's going in and trying to change it. And I know a lot of these people, Dr. We were just watching him last week, or the week before, but he was talking about the doctor with the beard and the dashiki.
Oh, yeah.
He's a positive black leader, but I mean,
Yeah.
I mean on the
but
level,
he's not on a large scale,
like
right?
on a level like I'm thinking Malcolm X, I'm thinking Martin Luther King, I'm thinking Marcus Garvey, I'm thinking
Yeah.
fucking who sings What's Going On? Al Green.
Yeah.
On the level of fucking Al Green, Tupac. Name one positive black leader on that fucking level.
Yeah, there is none.
We've
There is
gone
none.
back. I feel like fuck. I'm pissed off now.
Regressed.
I'm
yeah.
pissed off.
No.
We've regressed to shucking and
No,
jiving
and this is what I'm saying, right?
Singing and dancing.
This is what gets me angry is that literally blacks in North America were better off during segregation. Isn't that screwed up?
They killed off a lot of fucking people. And I bet you we were better off during segregation and for a good little small period afterwards.
Yeah.
But then we just lost. We just
Yeah,
Oh, you gonna
bad,
give
of
us?
course.
What was I talking about during the fucking smoke when Halle Berry got the fucking Oscar?
Yeah. And then she veered off course.
Went off course.
Made a string of shitty movies.
You could give a niggas go through oppression. Fuck a mother. Niggas don't want reparations. They want a fucking gold chain and they want a fucking night at the Oscars, and then they're good for the next 10 years.
Exactly.
They want a fucking 2-term fucking president that didn't do anything, and then they're good for the next 4 years.
Yeah, in fact,
Fucking-
people are
the
gonna
fuck?
people are gonna hate me for saying this, but you can look up all the stats that you want, and it will prove my point. Under Obama, black people did worse. It's true. More
makes
blacks on food
sense.
stamps.
And that's not his fault.
I disagree, but anyway,
He's a
he brought in he enacted quite a few.
He did some shit.
He did some shit.
He dropped 6,000 more bombs.
I ain't saying shit for like 20 minutes.
I know what's up, Pranel.
Yeah, P. What's
I,
going
um,
on?
I
I'm
got-
pissed off.
Well, I got lost
I'm
in
mad
the
at black
conversation simply because, I mean,
Black people make me mad.
yeah.
But you love them nevertheless.
I do. They're my How are you? I'm fucking flabbergasted. How are you so comfortable? Everybody's saying fuck the tiki torches, fuck Trump, and then your next song is kill a nigga, shoot a nigga, fuck a nigga, hoe.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
You just had a song called "Fuck Trump," and in the same breath, I'm watching motherfucking Tales from the Hood tonight. Remember that fucking scene in the jail
Yeah.
when he's with the neo-Nazi, and the dude says, "You do exactly what I'm doing for me. You're killing off other niggers."
Yeah. Yeah.
bro.
And it's true.
Bro, reverse racism does exist. And it's us.
It's racist towards your own race.
It's racist towards your own race, not even knowing you're racist. First thing fuck these niggas. Our music is racist. Fuck a nigga hoe. Fuck niggas. Kill niggas.
Yep.
What the fuck? I'm listening to Sade. Yo, I'm pissed off. I'm fucking mad. I'm so mad. I got kids. Stupid.
All right, P, what you got?
I've tried saying something and he went off again. He put headphones down now. Listen, we're gonna close this off.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I wanna
Nah, man, don't apologize. You said what needed to be said, man, and I agree with you 100% about it.
He's still trying to fucking say shit.
Let's close this off. Will, you're done talking. You don't get a closing today. Coleman, give me your closing on reverse racism. Where is this conversation is taking us? What do you think's happening?
Well, the definition of reverse racism as it is in the public is incorrect. I believe it's just racism. But if I were, and you know what, I had some knowledge spit at me today from Will, and I give you a lot of respect for that. I think if we were to classify reverse racism, it would be racism towards our own kind. Right? Now, for me, that would be difficult because specifically, I am very multiracial, but according to North American standards, I am a black man, right? So, the whole one drop rule and thing, but it's more like a quarter of me. Anyway, whatever. If I were to address the African American community and any other community that's going through hardships, do not rely on other people to bring you up, bring yourselves up. Right? And do not blame other people for your problems, blame yourselves. As the saying goes, we are usually the architects of our own demise, and nothing could be more true these days than Chicago and Detroit.
Truth.
Right? And if we look at some of the reservations in Canada, same thing. Don't watch, as they say in Jamaica now, watch no face, man. Don't look at what other people have. Look at what you can do for yourself.
That seems to be the common theme among our podcasts here lately. I just want to close by saying, reverse racism isn't a thing unless you take Will's standpoint on it. Stop jumping to conclusions. Stop jumping to racism right away. You have to look inside first. You have to see what you're doing wrong and what you can improve on before you start claiming that it's everybody else's fault. I want to end with 3 quotes here. I got the first 2 are Nelson Mandela. The first one is, and this speaks directly to the black community: there is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that is less than the one you're capable of living. And the next one is, the greatest glory in living is not in falling, but in rising every time we fall. And that's directed to everybody. Don't let somebody else bring you down. And learn from your mistakes. Learn how not everybody in this world is racism. History is shown to repeat itself. Don't let it.
Yeah.
And the last quote I have is from a great woman called Rosa Parks.
Who is that? Never heard of her. I'm kidding.
And the quote goes, "Racism is still with us, but it is up to us to prepare our children for what they have to meet, and hopefully we shall overcome." That goes for everybody listening. Don't raise your kids to be hateful, to be discriminatory. Raise them to be productive members of society who love one another. Because without love and without compassion, without empathy, we're nothing. And that's it.
Yeah, man.
Will, you good?
Will gives a thumbs up. That's his closing statement.
Thank you all for commenting on all the Facebook page. If you want to get a hold of us, email is digitaldiamondnetwork@gmail.com. Make sure and follow us on all our social medias. Podcast_ISH on Twitter and Instagram, and the podcast-ISH podcast on Facebook. See you next week. We out this motherfucker.
Yeah.